So this is patch 5 of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I've just updated my system, and this is also version 5.1, which I've just uploaded tonight as well. So I've just started at gate 104 and I'm very happy to see that there's no problems with my latest updated scenery. I did have to restart my computer after the flight sim update just now because it crashed on the world map. It's just better to restart your computer if you're after an update. I find I didn't have to delete anything from my community folder. I haven't got any aircraft mods, just scenery. I don't seem to have any problems with leaving any scenery mods in the community folder after an update. So it's looking pretty good. I'm just going to go through all the updates that I've added to the Gatwick scenery mod. I'm going into drone view. The performance seems very good. I'm recording with OBS as well. I've added crash barriers to Pier 6, and this is the new jetway mod that I've had to redesign. The problem with Google Earth is that it's not a true topographic map, so the scaling is all wrong. Sometimes I try to draw the outlines of buildings with Google Earth Pro and it's completely distorted, so it doesn't really work. Version 5, these jetway mods were way too narrow, so I've corrected that. Happy to say that it's now sitting on the ground perfectly, flush to the ground. This brickwork is a PBR texture. I'm not sure why it's going metallic colour. I think it's just, I don't have much understanding of PBR textures, but it's just a interaction. So that almost looks silver, but I think it's that's a normal look, unless I'm doing something wrong. This wall is actually built out of 4 rectangles that I created. I still do not understand how to texture wrap and all the UV settings for a cube or any other geometry, so I've just basically lined up 4 rectangles together. I'm still new to Blender, but I think it's the same inside. It's that's not metallic. That is metallic. I don't think it matters which way the texture's facing. I might be wrong, but it may be. I may look into it a bit further, try and correct it. So these posts are PBR texture. This is a nice painted yellow texture. It looks really nice. So I completely remodeled Pier 6. It was really bad before. It was one of my first models. It's looking much better. Everything's scaled really well. So the glass is looking better. The trick is the main building here has to be hollowed out. It can't be a solid. So I boolean it out, and you can go inside. I might put some stuff in here later. So to get see-through glass, I think I have to use a different material called windshield in Blender for MSFS toolkit. You can almost see through it there. No, that's only the inside, but that's not really. The main thing is it looks good from the outside. So I unblocked pier, jetty, so I unblocked stand 109 because some VATSIM users were asking. So I've added fixed ground power, single plug units, the emergency stop signs, crash barriers, and the mast crash barriers to the whole of Pier 6. Stand 113 is still a problem for parking a larger aircraft. I think the main problem is that the bridge that I've made is too wide. These legs are too wide and too thick, the material, and they need to be moved in a bit. See, this pattern here is the actual Bing map coming through the texture. So the bridge width is, these legs should be around about here, so you probably get an Airbus onto 113, but there's no problem because this is not a collision material, so you can still park there. The winger goes straight through. That is the only problem stand I have. So I made these, I call them multi-mods. They're like universal type of square mod, square block. It's quite handy to add to the airport. It's got the this rectangular one. I've put it in several places. That's just about perfect. So moving over to the 130s. Now, this is the centre line. Kilo, I do believe, taxiway kilo this is. So you can now see the stand numbers, whereas before, where I'd actually tried to use a universal model where I just aligned different numbers. So I had a separate model for each of the number digits and left and right. That didn't really work. There was some kind of interaction between the individual models, and it was at night time you could hardly see the emissions from the numbers. So I've removed the whole lot. I've basically got rid of that idea, and I've just got an individual model for each stand. So if I go to night time, now you can see the numbers are very clearly visible. If I go further back, the emissions start reducing, and eventually they go off. But you have to go really far back. Stop the flickering on the back side of the signs. The only thing is the signs for the crossbar type signs. This is a little bit small, so I'm probably going to end up making these a bit bigger. See the difference in the size between the emergency stop post type and the crossbar type. So that just needs a little tweak I'll do eventually. So the performance is really good, much better than before. So the bridge, it looks better in the daytime, you can almost see through it. And I had a little divider in between. I had a division right through the middle here, and I removed that, so now at least you can see through it. Notice the thickness of the glass. These glass panels are far too thick. This is PBR texture, the bridge now. I'll probably change the colour eventually. But if you look at my new model, the glass panels are way thinner. You can hardly see the thickness. Very thin. There's one of those universal rectangular mods that I've put here as well. I've changed. There's one here. So these blocks, I've put a texture onto the concrete now, but the problem is it's stretched out. It doesn't look too bad. That should have been concrete. But because the still don't understand how to wrap textures with a UV map, the whole texture's been stretched right up. So it hasn't really come out very well. So I've added don't know what's going on here. It's like a golden texture. It may be the because the sun's not, it may be reflecting from here. But this is actually it's supposed to be a white plastic. It's probably getting reflection from this brown material here. So this is now PBR textured. It's a white plastic. And also these jetway mods is also PBR textured. I think it looks quite good. It kind of changes with the sun direction. So moving over to the satellite. Finally added some texture to the concrete posts. Now this has come out better. Proper concrete texture. Changed the brickwork on Pier 2 and modelled some doors, windows, and maybe need to go in a bit by the look of it. Yeah, I'll push them in a bit on the next update. This type of brickwork, you see there where I've joined the rectangles, so you wouldn't really notice that. This brickwork doesn't seem to be as metallic. It's hard to say. This side is reasonably okay. It's still a little bit out, but that'll pass. All the doors and windows I modelled earlier. But when you're parked up flying an aircraft, it's just something you wouldn't notice. This is some of my original modelling. Actually modelled brickwork. I might just leave it like that. Now the centre lines are lined up to the signs 4 and 5. Don't know why there's a light there. That's going to be in the way, but it doesn't matter. That's a Zobo, and that's lined up as well. So all in all, I'm really happy with the performance. I'm just going to fly over to the North Terminal. So I've corrected these sections here. They kind of stopped in this area, so I've moved them up a bit. Still a bit of a problem here, but it's good enough. Nice PBR texture. Another thing I'm thinking of doing, I've added 42 now. Nice little stand there that I missed before. Look at the performance, it's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was getting such a bad slowdown before. So this part of the, because I'm not actually directly creating a brand new airport with the SDK, I'm actually using what Zobo have provided. I could add markings to the stand numbers here. You can almost see some of them coming through the texture, but I could add numbers. That would be quite a big job, but more importantly, I think there needs to be a bit more signage on the taxiways. I mean, there's nothing here. So, in real life, there'd be plenty of directional signs telling you what the taxiway is. There'd be whiskey and Zulu and so on. There's very little information. And on the taxiway Zulu, there'd be a marking on the floor, so you could see it from the flight deck. Then there'd be another sign here, Whiskey and Alpha November. So I'll just leave you with a nice shot of the air bridge and the redesigned Pier 6. And that's all for now.